Hello and welcome. This is Faceless Opinion and your new undisputed champion. Welcome you back to another video. Something you may or may not know about me is that I'm a bit of a wrestling fan. I've been watching it since late 2009, early 2010, with a brief 4-year hiatus somewhere in between then and now. With me being the fan that I am, it would only be logical for me to play some of the games they've released over the years, though it has been a hot minute since I've checked out any of their games. To give you an idea how long it was, the last WWE game I played, CM Punk was on the cover. Originally, I was wanting to play 2K20 when that came out, but due to some technical issues with the game, I decided against it, which led to me picking up and playing WWE 2K22 and trying out all the game modes that were available. Truth be told, I didn't care for most of them. My faction was boring, Universe mode was disappointing, GM mode was not my cup of tea, Showcase was actually pretty interesting. I did like going through and playing some of Rey Mysterio's most iconic matches, though the thing that probably stood out the most to me was the MyRISE game mode. Now, what is MyRISE? Originally called My Career in all of the previous 2K games, this game mode allows you to create your own custom character, male or female, and allows you to become a WWE superstar and basically have control over your story, such as if you want to be a babyface or a heel, choosing which brand you wish to appear on, to what championships you wish to pursue. This lets me live my dreams of becoming a WWE superstar. How MyRISE starts off is that you are a new talent who has just begun their journey and begins their training at the Performance Center, where you will customize your character's appearance as well as choose the background and performance style, with 4 options for each, where you have a MMA background, pro athlete, indie sensation, and actor, while for archetype you can vary from being a striker, a high flyer, a powerhouse, to a technician, giving you 16 different combinations. Once done with that, you will train to hone your craft alongside the other Performance Center trainees who also have dreams of becoming WWE superstars, such as Paragon J. Pierce, Hector Flores, and Chase for the male side, while for the female side you have Josie Jane and Mei Lee Fanny Fan. After doing your training, picking your alignment, and doing the other activities alongside the trainees, you will then get your tryout to see if any of the general managers from the main roster are interested in signing you, such as NXT being run by William Regal, Friday Night SmackDown led by Adam Pearce, and Monday Night Raw with Mandy Rose in charge? Minor tangent, but why is Mandy Rose the GM of Raw? That really makes no sense. Wouldn't it make more sense to have Sonya Deville be GM instead, since she was an actual WWE official IRL? A corrupt one, but a real one nonetheless. Heck, you can even choose to be her in GM mode, so Mandy being in charge is kinda weird. Anyhow, after the tryout, depending on how well you do and who you choose to go up against, this will give you the choice of which of the 3 brands you get to go to. And this is where your career properly begins, as you choose how your story goes from there, as each brand has its own stories for feuds and pursuits for that show's respected championships. There are a plethora of possible storylines for you to do, some dependent on what brand you are on, to what your alignment is, to even what you choose as your background. Truth be told, I only did 2 playthroughs of MyRISE. 2 superstars I made were a male and female so I could get the proper experience. My male character is Conquest. His background is being an indie star, his archetype is a striker, and his alignment is a heel, while my female character is Himiko, who has a pro athlete background, a high flyer archetype, and whose alignment was a babyface. I spent a lot of time on both of them and basically did all the things I could do without changing alignments, so I will just talk about things from my perspective, the good, the bad, and the wasted opportunities. Let's start off with the good, the things I liked. There are some pretty good feuds, like the one where you quote-unquote borrow Eddie Guerrero's lowrider to piss off Rey Mysterio, where Dakota Kai starts making up lies about you when you debut on NXT, to having a weird Twitter conversation with Oni Lorcan, to even the dare you have with Humberto Carrillo, where if you beat him in a match, he has to wear a chicken costume. Reminds me of that one Road to WrestleMania story from SmackDown vs. Raw 2010. I also liked how there was some stuff that involved the Performance Center trainees, like helping Hector Flores with his family issues, and the budding rivalry and friendship with Josie Jane. When it comes to the storyline involving trying to become a champion, some of them were pretty good or a really interesting concept behind it. On the women's side of things, out of the 3 championship stories, I thought the one for the NXT Women's Championship was the best one. I loved the idea of Road to Rhea, and this was the first time I got to see the MyRISE arena for WrestleMania. My favorite arena, by the way. I also legitimately liked Bayley's Intercontinental Championship. It was wacky and chaotic, and hands down, one of my personal favorites. On the men's side of things, I loved the story involving the WWE Championship, where you were one of Seth Rollins' disciples, but he tries to double-cross you, but you pull a 10,000 level IQ move and have the other disciples betray him and anoint yourself as the new Monday Night Messiah. The story involving the Universal Championship, Money in the Bank robbery, was interesting as you won the Money in the Bank ladder match, and during your cash-in on Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens shows up with his own Money in the Bank briefcase and cashes in on your cash-in, thus screwing you over. The story was interesting in concept. Then, when it comes to feuds where you have to defend your championship, the best one for me was Brochel Media, where you and Matt Riddle feud for the Intercontinental Championship. Goldberg shows up and spears him during a match. The Twitter antics are on full display as we keep bringing up old tweets, and it all comes to a head in a steel cage match. Well, those were all the good things I liked about MyRISE. Let's talk about the bad. One thing I'd have to complain about would have to be that some of the stories come off as repetitive. For example, on NXT, there's the Mae Young Classic and also the NXT Breakout Star Tournament. There are beat for beat the exact same things, the only difference being what gender your character is. Same thing can be said about the King of the Ring / Queen of the Ring tournament as well. Also factor in that both characters can also win the Royal Rumble and Money in the Bank respectively. I mean, even the championship feud for both the SmackDown and Raw Women's Championship follow the same formula, where someone forms a faction, Shayna Baszler and Charlotte Flair respectively, and steals your title from you, and you have to fight to get it back. So yes, there is a large amount of repetition on display. Something else that gets on my nerves would be that not every championship you can win will have a feud to go along with it. Examples of that would be the NXT Women's Championship, the North American Championship, and the United States Championship. What's the point of winning any of those titles if there isn't going to be someone gunning for that belt around your waist? Honestly, it feels like a waste of time. I guess you could say it is bad booking, though now that we're on the topic of that, let's talk about some of the storytelling for some of the feuds, as a couple of them do have 1 or 2 issues when it comes to the story it's trying to tell, those being the lack of continuity and alignment dissonance. What do I mean by that? Allow me to explain. When it comes to the lack of continuity, that would mean that after you complete a story or feud that there is no continuation. Big example of this would have to be when you were one of Seth Rollins' disciples and ultimately going after his WWE Championship. During that match, the other disciples backstab Rollins and decides to follow you as the Monday Night Messiah. Then what happens afterwards? Nothing. You don't get to do anything with your disciples. Like, what happened? The fact that there's no carryover into your championship feud with Drew McIntyre is kind of disappointing. Makes me wonder, what was the point of that if you aren't going to be able to do anything with it? Another example would have to be where you, Paragon J. Pierce, and Shinsuke Nakamura form a faction to go after Big E's Intercontinental Championship. And after that, the faction is gone. Never heard from again. Hell, I don't even think it had a name to begin with. The other issue I have would pertain to alignment dissonance, where you are one alignment, but while doing a feud, it makes you come off as the other alignment. An example of that would be the feud with Damian Priest for his North American Championship, where he places a bounty on you to get you out of contention for his title. If this was IRL, Priest in this instance would be a heel, and I would be the de facto babyface in this. But in actuality, I am supposed to be a heel and remain a heel with no moments where I could possibly change to a babyface. You can see how that comes off as bizarre a little bit. Or how about where you win the United States Championship from Tommaso Ciampa, and after the match, he beats you down so bad the title has to be vacated. I am the heel, but yet again I am put in a position that's meant to be that of a babyface. I am just as confused as you are, though one more issue with the storytelling would have to be the questionable decisions made in some of them. Like during the WWE Championship feud with Drew McIntyre, you end up forming a relationship with GM Mandy Rose, and you muck it up by cheating on her with 3 other women. Now, I know the relationship needed to be broken up so Drew could have a proper one-on-one match without any chicanery, but I don't know what bothers me more, that apparently that I'm a cheating sleazebag, or the fact that one of the girls I was cheating on Mandy with was fucking Nia Jax. My god, the male character when he is a heel is a total dick. Like during the feud with Johnny Gargano, he, or should I say I, made a deal with Dakota Kai to help me play mind games with Johnny by making up a rumor that me and his wife may or may not had some sort of relations, and in return Dakota gets a championship match for the women's title, and that doesn't happen. I don't know why. I wish there was an option to where it gives you a choice to honor your side of the deal or not. I wish there were more choices, or should I say, better choices. Like during the feud with Finn Balor for the NXT title, he becomes his demon persona, and in order to combat him, you go talk to the only person to have defeated him at the time, Samoa Joe. When talking to him, he says he will tell you the secret to beat the demon, only if you jump Braun Strowman for him. If you choose to do so, Joe will tell you that he will just help you in your match against the demon Finn, thus giving you the heel-face choices of accepting Joe's help or not. So it gives you an alignment choice for taking Joe's help or not, but doesn't give you one if you choose to attack Braun or not. That is just stupid. So jumping Braun Strowman doesn't make you a heel, but having Samoa Joe help you in a match that is no DQ, by the way, is where we draw the line. You can see why I hate this one. Though, the feud I have the biggest gripes with would have to be Money in the Bank robbery. Now I hear you say, "Faceless, I thought you said you liked this one. You make no sense." Hold up, I never said that I liked it. I said I liked the concept of it. The execution was awful and has every single issue that I talked about earlier, such as there being no continuity. In the case, if you and Paragon decide to work together in the Money in the Bank ladder match, like he is no longer relevant. You would think he would try to screw you over later down the road, or try to steal your briefcase. But no, that doesn't happen. Then there's the alignment dissonance. Roman Reigns is a heel. Kevin Owens is blatantly a heel due to his actions, which would make me the babyface by default, since I was the one who challenged Roman to a proper match and not sneak attacked him and had my opportunity stolen by KO, even though I am supposed to be a heel.
Well, I don't like to feel good. I like to feel evil. Oh.
How come the female character had the choice of challenging Naomi to a proper title match or just sneak attacking her, but I do not get to make the choice in regards to the Universal title? I am a heel. I should have been in the position KO was in. Not to mention, this feud dragged on way too long. We all knew the end result was going to be a triple threat between the three of us, but the end result was not satisfying. Earning the championship was not satisfying. I am not satisfied. I will say it again. Interesting in concept, terrible in execution. Alright, let's step away from the feuds and storylines. I said what I wanted to say about them. I'm going to talk about other stuff that would be things that I felt were wasted opportunities, which are things that I would have liked to have seen or done. For example, how come out of all the titles we can compete for, why is it that we can't go after the tag team titles? I mean, I like the prospect of possibly teaming up with Hector Flores and being tag champs with him, or with Josie Jane to become women's tag champs. Another thing I would have liked to have done was compete in the Elimination Chamber. I think that could have been an interesting way to lose a championship for a feud. Not to mention, I would rather defend my title in the chamber than a six-pack challenge the GMs try to convince you to partake in. Speaking of other match types, where were the Survivor Series matchups, like Team SmackDown versus Team Raw, or Champion versus Champion? Hell, I'm not a big fan of Survivor Series as a whole, but I would like to have done either of those. Speaking of feuds, I wish there was a feature in which you could replay a feud you have completed, and do it again, and possibly see how things could have turned out if you lost a certain match. As another feature I would add in conjunction with this would be the ability to quit a story. My reason from this stems from my experience during the Seth Rollins feud for his championship, where you compete in the Royal Rumble match and start at the number 2 spot. meaning you have to survive 29 other men. And let me tell you, when I did this, I felt incredibly underleveled, but unfortunately, I did not have an option to quit and gain more stat levels. I wouldn't care if I did quit and had to start the feud over from scratch. That seems reasonable to me. I just wish I could have walked away and come back later when I was ready. Or at least let me fail earlier and not having to wait until a certain point in the match. That always bugged me. Something else that bugs me, that out of all the things you can unlock from doing these stories, more items to wear or arenas you can compete in, I find it sad that you can't unlock any of the performance center trainees. I mean, some of them handle pretty well, and I wouldn't mind playing them in some of the other game modes. I mean, why not? It's the least the game can do since they won't let us use our custom character outside MyRISE. You heard that right. Your MyRISE character cannot be used in any of the other game modes, and I think that is a load of crap. Now, some may say, why can't you just remake your character so you can play them in the other modes? Two reasons. First being that me personally, I didn't really like the customization options they have available. Felt limited at times, unlike some of the Raw vs. SmackDown games. At least how it came off to me, since I am not truly content with how my characters came out. They came out okay, not great. The second reason is that it would take a lot of time to do that. Time to remake my character, to make their entrance, and change their moveset. Time I wish not to reinvest on that. I think the reasons as to why we can't use the MyRISE characters in other modes is due to the fact that if you level up their stats in a certain way, they can be way overpowered. My solution to that is just cap them at a certain point. There, problem solved, 2K. Wasn't that hard. Now let me play as Conquest and Himiko in the other modes.
No! 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 No!
All in all, my opinion of WWE 2K22 in general would be that it is okay. I wanted to play a wrestling game and that is what I got. Is it my favorite? Not really. Didn't really live up to the hype that the commercials made it out to be. Would I get the next one when it comes out? No, because just like all the other sports games like Madden, FIFA, or any other 2K games, they're all kind of the same year after year, and I don't want to spend $70 for something that has a few minor tweaks and that's about it. Now, if we're talking about a future game years away from now, like 2K28 or something like that, that would be a different story. Though one thing I wish 2K to do in the future would be to bring back the road to WrestleMania. That was one of my favorite game modes, and I wish that would come back the same way people were clamoring for the return of GM mode. I mean, seriously, some of the feuds in MyRISE could have worked as a Road to WrestleMania story, like Seth Rollins and his Disciples, Bayley's Intercontinental Championship, or even Money in the Bank robbery. They would just need a few modifications, that's all. Well, I think I'll wrap it up here. Tell me, what do you think? What were your thoughts on WWE 2K22? What type of character did you make on MyRISE? Do you think Road to WrestleMania should make a comeback in the future? Comment down below. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Until next time, I will catch you all on the flip side.